So the process is that once we find a buyer for your car and we go through all that we just said, we ask them to put a deposit down. We'll call you if the offer's a little less than what you were asking for, but we'll call you with the caveat that it is an offer. We don't have the money in the bank. Don't go buy a new boat. You're so excited because we've got your car sold. We don't have your car sold. We have an offer. We don't have clear funds in the bank, and clear funds are one of four things. Clear funds of the bank are you bring us a basket full of cash, and we go down to the bank and deposit it. Now you have clear funds, and the vehicle can be released. The next one is you do a wire transfer. It's the cleanest, best, easiest, safest way to do it. You go to your bank, you give them our wiring instructions, they send us whatever the number is. We call you and say, we've received your wire transfer, now we're ready to move forward. Now, when you buy a car from us, understand that we don't call the seller to say that the deal is done until we have clear funds. Even if you say, hey, I'm coming in Saturday and I'm bringing cash and I'm buying that car. Well, we don't call the seller and say, hey, we got your car sold. Bring us your title. Be here on Saturday. The guy's coming. Because guess what happens? Guy doesn't come. Guy doesn't show up.
That's right.
And it doesn't happen often, but it happens often enough that we're not going to jump the gun. The second or the third option is that you can write a check or have a cashier's check or a money order, any of that. But understand that those all take 5 business days to clear. And the reason is because, believe it or not, cashier's checks are not what, all the old school guys are like, well, cashier's checks, them things as good as gold.
That's
I
right.
go, well, they used to be until modern printers and modern this and scams and gosh, it's a pitfall area. So you might as well just write a personal check or a business check because it will take just as long for a cashier's check as it will for your personal or business check. Once that clears, then we call the seller and we say, we have clear funds. We have a check from Classic Auto Mall for you. And all we need you to do is bring us the title because 99.999% of the time, we want the customer, the seller, to keep the title. That's their protection. That, if we have the title and the car and we sell the car and we flit off to Jamaica, then they're in a rock and a hard place. So we want you to keep the title. Not that we're not trustworthy or that we're going to do anything untoward, but it's just to give you a peace of mind that, hey, I've got the title, they've got the car, they can't sell the car without this.
But you have a copy of the title because you've seen it.
We've seen it. We've verified that there's no problems with it. And, of course, every state is different. And it's one of those things that we, dare I say it, wish the government would get more involved with. Don't. And that's because there are so many anomalies to each area. So like in North Carolina, a title, they have a thing called a reassignment form. And it's a form that's separate piece of paper from the title that you can assign it to the new owner. And if it's a dealer, it can keep being reassigned hundreds of times if it needs to be. Pennsylvania doesn't have reassignment forms. So if you fill a title, then you can't go any further reassigning it to people. And that's a little more technical than people need to really know. But just to understand that each state's different. In New Jersey, if it's a hot rod or a kit car, they don't put a year in the year on the title. Which, send that to California and don't expect getting a phone call on that. They're like, we can't, there's no year here. Well, that's New Jersey's rule. And so, and Pennsylvania does that as well too, I think. And so,
And how does that get resolved?
I don't know. We have a form that we send from the state of Pennsylvania that says Pennsylvania does not put a year on this. And I would imagine that a state like California or Texas or Florida probably does put in a state put in a year based on either the year that the thing was manufactured or the year that it's mimicking. Or, you see 32 Ford hot rods that are fiberglass bodied that are brand new that are titled as a 1932.
Right.
How'd that happen? I don't know. So I would imagine probably this is the case. But it's interesting because there's so many different variables with titles out there. And you have to be so careful because you can sign in the wrong spot. Then that's a whole problem.
That's right.
And
or forget your initial or put an initial like it's a...
Yeah, it has to be signed exactly like it's a legal document. It's the second most important legal document. Well, second most largest purchase document that you would do behind a house.
Yep.
And so you need to be exact on that. And the girls here at our office can tell you exactly what it is you do and don't do when it comes to this. So so once we sell your car, we have clear funds, we call you bring us the title, we give you a check. Remember, didn't I say that at the beginning?
And then they buy another car.
And then they buy another car.
Or they could overnight the title to you, for example, and you would overnight the check.
Yeah, and they would do a power of attorney, and we would sign it on their behalf, because you don't want it out there floating around with just an open title signed by the seller, because anybody could fill their name in on that.
The Classic Auto Mall Show with their host, Stuart Howden.